Hey guys, what's going on? Back again with another zombies video. Decided to make a really short video because, as you know, or most of you guys know, Archon's getting released tomorrow, and I'm calling it like pretty much Terra Maledicta II, which at this point, and I'm just gonna go with that really quickly. Just want to touch on it. I'm kind of surprised Treyarch didn't have more fun with it, or Sledgehammer, where they should have made it like a movie, maybe even kind of tie it into Willard Wyler or maybe even Keener Tilton. They should have just did like a movie poster saying like Terra Maledicta 2, the Archon, and probably made like some type of movie poster of it. And that's something that I talked about in the last video, is the fact that I'm a little bit shocked. I don't want to say disappointed that they didn't really have more fun with it, because the fact that, yeah, you're trying to hide it as, it being an original map, but it really is just going to be Terra Maledicta and I think the Dark Ether, unless it's a double bluff and they're making us think it's going to be Terra Maledicta, but then there's going to be, something else in there thrown into surprises. But I was a little bit disappointed that they didn't make it like have a little more better of a backstory. Like, hey, it could have been like a movie, and wink, wink, it's a Willard Wyler movie, or something like that, or maybe even Call of the Dead, George Romero type, part 2 or something like that. Not part 2 of Call of the Dead, but part 2 of Terra Maledicta. Put it in the George Romero, you know, kind of lore or whatever. So that was a little bit disappointing. But what I actually want to go over is the fact that I want to kind of prepare people or remind them that be careful, having too many expectations for the Archon, because it's been pretty much tradition recently that everything is being left on a cliffhanger, and then you have to kind of come up with your own ending. In your mind, a lot of directors do it in TV shows, TV series, TV movies, movies in the theaters, authors and books, that they leave stuff on cliffhangers, and then you yourself, the audience, come up with their own ending. A lot of that has to do with people not being happy with the ending, anyways. That some of them figure, hey, it's gonna be difficult making every single person happy, because if you have 100 million people watching your TV show, there's going to be millions of different theories of how it ended, or people wanted it to end their way. So I think sometimes they just kind of leave it on a cliffhanger, and then you have to kind of think of the ending yourself. And again, the purpose of this is to kind of show the zombies community and the zombie YouTubers that I think sometimes you show people stuff, they'll see it a little bit better. Um, kind of like, let's say you have a weight problem and you eat a lot. You think you look good, you think you're in shape, but then somebody grabs a mirror and shows that, hey, you eat too much, you don't exercise, you don't eat healthy. Maybe even with your credit cards or your finances, people have to show you that, hey, you spend too much money. You have a shopping addiction, that, hey, they show you their credit card statement or your credit card statement, and show that you have a huge credit card bill. I think sometimes you have to show stuff to people for them to understand, or see the reality. I think we all create false memories for ourselves, or because of nostalgia, because of emotional attachment, that some people think like, hey, Transit is the best, Black Ops 2 Zombies is the best zombies ever, because that's theirs. That's the first zombies game that they started. Same thing with Black Ops 3. You go back and play Black Ops 3. It has a lot of fixing, or it has a lot of it's not perfect, I guess I'll say, but we create these false memories because that was our first zombies, or zombie YouTubers. They made the most money in Black Ops 3. People start creating these false memories. It was their first zombies. So again, I want to just show people that a lot of the stuff that we've gotten so far have been left on cliffhangers. Most of it probably being because it was too difficult for the zombie YouTubers, too difficult for some of the people in the zombies community, and then for budget and time reasons being the other reasons. But I think you're gonna be Zombies is going to be most successful if it's easy for people to play. If you look at Cold War, look at even Black Ops 3, those are really easy. You know, you shoot the zombie once, literally with a bullet, and they die. You can probably kill 40 zombies with 40 bullets in Black Ops 3. So I do want to first show the exception to the rule. Again, this is to prepare you for the final end cutscene for the Archon, where it's probably going to be left on a cliffhanger. Don't be upset if we don't get any answer. Don't be upset if we get like the same thing, a PowerPoint slide of, you know, the end cutscene for the Archon. Don't be surprised if we don't get this elaborate cutscene. Don't be surprised if we don't get um, all these answers that we want answers. Don't be surprised if we don't get an answer to the Chaos story. We don't get an answer to Richthofen. We don't get an answer to maybe even Cortifex. You know, who knows? It might just end, you know, on a cliffhanger. So the exception to the rule, and again, this is to remind people and have them see it, is um, in Cold War, we all thought we were gonna get like Primus, you know, in the Dark Ether, Victus in the Dark Ether, Ultimus in the Dark Ether. That was explained in COD Mobile, that once you die, or, you know, pretty much once you die, you get teleported, I guess I'll put it that way, into the Dark Ether, and the Dark Ether representing, you know, Purgatory, the afterlife, and stuff like that. And in the COD Mobile story, it was about Primus trying to get out of Purgatory, get out of the Dark Ether, come back to the physical world. And ironically enough, that got left on a cliffhanger too, because it, again, being too difficult for the players, too difficult for the zombie YouTubers, and ultimately they scrapped the mode. They even scrapped the comics, because the comic, there was like a comic attached to the mode, and you unlocked issues when you completed the cutscene, or you completed the game, and whatever. You got more comics that explained more stuff, but ultimately that all got cut anyways. But a lot of people looked at Cold War thinking, hey, we're definitely gonna see, you know, Primus. We're gonna learn everything about Primus. We're gonna learn everything about Victus. That was all explained in COD Mobile. That, again, that they all got banished to Dark Ether, and they pretty much were all dead and had to try and come back to life and get out of the Dark Ether. So we all created these false memories or false hope for ourselves that, you know, Cold War is going to give us all these answers, but you have to think about it. Black Ops 4 got left on a cliffhanger. I'm going to just go back and show you everything that got left on a cliffhanger, so prepare yourself for, you know, the Archon Vanguard Zombies, that I don't think Call of Duty or Treyarch is going to give us the answer to all these maps in one final cutscene. It's been tradition, again, in movies and TV shows, that everything gets left on a cliffhanger. You kind of have to create your own ending for yourself, because you can't make everyone happy. Again, Ancient Evil Chaos story, you know, Black Ops 4 got left on a cliffhanger. Cold War, again, was another example. Don't be surprised in 2024 if you don't get too many answers. Maybe, again, they just want to start new. Maybe Kevin Drew wants to start a whole new story. Maybe have a little bit of the old story, but maybe they just want to kind of go a whole different route. Maybe when Black Ops 6 comes out, we're going to say, hey, whatever did happen to Richthofen, what happened to, you know, I forget his name, the guy that went to Japan or is going to Japan. Maybe it's not. Maybe none of the maps are going to be in Japan. Maybe we're going to start out, you know, somewhere else, or maybe they're going to remaster some old maps or something like that. So don't be surprised, even with Cold War, that we don't get any answers, because, again, same thing with Victus. Everyone thought in Cold War we're going to get all these answers, but I think, again, just to kind of hammer the point home, is the fact that directors want people to figure stuff out for themselves, either through research, maybe even another studio down the road might continue the story, which happens in a lot of video games, which that would take like literally a whole day explaining how everything kind of is all in its own video game universe anyways, that this game started this, then this game finished the storyline, this studio, you know, they love that story, so they want to create their own story in their game, and everything crosses over. Even Victus, again, I think was taken from Left 4 Dead. That was Transit was supposed to be like a Left 4 Dead, you know, sequel in a way, and stuff like that. So a lot of studios love each other's work and want to kind of finish the story for themselves. The thing is, Call of Duty, Treyarch, Activision, they don't want to have one really long story that's going to bore people. They want to start new stuff. Um, and eventually people are going to start, continuing the story themselves. Again, you look at Blood of the Dead. We all thought we were going to get some answers for that in Cold War. Again, another cliffhanger that you can have a million people come up with a million different um, endings after the camera cuts away. The power could come back on. Somebody could teleport in. He could add another blood vial. It could have not been the real Richthofen. It could have been another Richthofen. It could have been a dream. Maybe he wakes up. There's so many different conclusions that the audience could come up with themselves. That's why everything gets left on a cliffhanger. You look at IW Zombies. That never got a conclusion. And same thing, you can come up with like a million different, fan fiction or conclusions to what happened there. And that might be by design. Like I said, we might start thinking like, this is going to happen or that's going to happen. But maybe they want us to, come up with their own ideas and stories and stuff like that. Do you look at Exo Zombies? Same thing. That was probably almost 10 years now. That got left on a cliffhanger. I don't think it ever got concluded in any other game or any other studio or anything like that. I think that again just left on a cliffhanger. Same thing. You might have to do research. I kept thinking of like the Matrix for some reason. It reminded me of the Matrix. Maybe if you think about Zetsubo Nishima, how that could tie into maybe Exo Zombies and producing, and you look at Tag Your Tilton and stuff like that. You might have to kind of read between the lines, come up with your own conclusion, come up with your own fan fiction, come up with your own head theories. That's why a lot of these studios leave stuff on cliffhangers. You look at World War II Zombies, The Frozen Dawn. That also got left on a cliffhanger. A lot of that can be explained. You can come up with a conclusion if you know the real life story, the real life backstory to it. I think if Sledgehammer, again, we all thought we were going to get some of that. Even myself thought we were going to get some of that in Vanguard. They could have continued it, but I don't think they want to. I think they want people to kind of like, hey, this was World War II Zombies. This is our ending that we had on the cliffhanger. You either have to do your research, or just come up with your own fan fiction if you don't want to do your research. And that's another odd thing or pet peeve is when you see zombie YouTubers come up with these crazy fan fictions, but then none of it's true because everything could be, proven through doing research. I don't even know if any of the zombie YouTubers even know the backstory for World War II Zombies. I know Cameron Dayton explained a lot of it, which is great, but a lot of it he didn't explain it. You have to do your research and figure out, oh, this represents this and that represents that. You got to look at movies, you got to look at books, movies, TV shows and stuff like that. You're like, oh, that's what that was from. Oh, that's what happens after this scene. Like, let's say, in World War II Zombies, it cuts away. In this scene, if you do your research, you can probably figure out what happened after this scene. And with any of these, if you probably find the pop culture reference for this, you probably can figure out what happened after that. Maybe even, like I said, if you want your own fan fiction, look at Setsubo Nishima, maybe even like Tag Your Tilton. You can probably make some connections. If you've probably found the pop culture reference for this, you can figure out what happens after this cutscene. Maybe even in Blood of the Dead, if that's taken from pop culture, you can probably even figure out like, hey, this is what happened after that. You don't need a part 2, Blood of the Dead part 2, which is ironic, going back to the Archon. It's pretty ironic that we're actually getting like quote unquote like a Terra Maledicta part 2, being that it is so ironic now that I think about it, that the fact that all these got left on cliffhangers, none of them got like a sequel. Terra Maledicta and even maybe Endure and Fang both get like pretty much sequels in the same game and stuff like that. So it probably could have been done a little bit better, but I guess because of budgets and COVID and stuff like that, this is the route that they ended up going. But it is pretty ironic in a way that Darren Fang Shinonuma ends up getting its own sequel in the same game. Anyways, I'll leave it at that. I'll see you guys later.